Thank you. My question relates to the Ulster Covenant, particularly the turnout of women who signed the declaration. More women signing the declaration than men signed the covenant. And I'm just wondering how that was seen at the time or is interpreted since in terms of the mobilisation of women. Thank you.
Myrtle, would you like to respond first?
Yeah, I think very much. So it's a bit of a problem, this. I think it would be seen very much in the very patriarchal nature and masculinist nature of unionist tradition, that the women were supporting their men. Now, the massive organisation that there was behind it is clear in the massive numbers that came out, and women were, I think, very, very good at organising themselves in that way. But you can see references in various papers where the male unionists are very grateful to, but also really fairly patronising about their female counterparts. I'm sure there were individuals perhaps who thought differently, but I think the women played a very useful purpose for the men in terms of the whole campaign against Home Rule. They did lots of lobbying and travelled to England and Scotland and so forth. I feel very strongly, as I think the quote I used showed, that these women had a very strong political identity in their own right. And many of them, as nationalists, were pushing for Home Rule. Many of them were very worried about what it might mean for family life, given Catholic influence on family life, if Home Rule came about. But I think, in the same way as history has sort of left these women out of the picture, I think contemporaries might have, by and large, done much the same, although that's a big brushstroke.
Are you implying that it wasn't really seen as a step along the way for a women's emancipation at all?
No.
Interestingly, just today I read, we often hear that about the unionists from outside Ulster. You know, most of your talk was about unionists within Ulster. Yeah. And today I came across a reference in that journal I was talking to you about Edith Somerville, the writer. And she's recounting the number of, she's obviously, like you would in a voting booth now, she's recording the numbers of people and they're all queuing up, men and women, to sign. And I don't know where it happens. It doesn't unfortunately say whether she's up in the north or whether she's in Dublin or she's down in Cork, where she was based and where she lived. But I'd love to know where that happened. It was the first reference I've come across to that.
Very interesting, the whole Southern Unionist picture, and we haven't really looked closely at women's engagement in that area.
Yeah.
I think there was something like 12,000 men signed it outside Ulster in Dublin, Cork, London. So the same must have applied to the women's declaration, one presumes.
Just one thing in terms of the unionist women, with the UVF, I mean, women were, you know, ambulance drivers and dispatch carriers and things like that, so that there was a more active role as well for some unionist women, and that was mentioned in the papers. In fact, they said that this made an even greater appeal to the imagination than some of what the men were doing, I suppose because it was so unusual. It just predates what the women then went on to do in terms of war work in 1914.